Hi there, I'm Mark Marshall, the owner of Sandula Conservation. Now, a lot of people want to know what Sandula Conservation does. We're a company that specializes in saving animals and saving the environment, not just animals, but plants too. All that kind of stuff is what we actually do. So we really enjoy working with animals, and obviously saving them is the best part, especially when we have to go catch a snake in somebody's house. That is always the best thing to do. Today's talk is on tortoises. Anything and everything you need to know about tortoises. Now, we know tortoises are these cute little things, but they are strange animals. They live in their house. Their little back crawls around with them all the time. When they're scared, they go into their shell. When they are happy, they come out the shell. So they are never ever without this shell. A lot of people think they actually can fall out of their shell, or their shell grows too small and they need to get a new shell, so they discard it and look for another one. No, their shell grows with them. They hatch from an egg with their shell. And tortoises are amazing because people don't realize how specialized they are in what they eat. One tortoise or one species of tortoise doesn't necessarily eat what the other one will eat. Okay, they have favorite foods, they have dislikes, like, oh, I'm not going to eat that at all. And sometimes you give them something and they just can't get enough of it. So that just depends on the personality, or the, how could you say, the likes of a certain tortoise, okay? But it's not specific to species, although some species are very, very sensitive in what they eat. For example, parrot-beak tortoises, they like to eat succulents, a little bit of plants, not like the big lettuce and grass and things like that. They don't like that. And that the ungulate is more a flower feeder, so he eats on little flowers, dandelion flowers, all those type of things. And the mountain tortoise is actually a grazer. He's like a big cow. He only eats grass and loves eating grass, and he'll eat that all day long. Okay, so it just depends on the type of tortoise. We have a couple of facts about tortoise. Firstly, they don't come out at night time in the dark. They don't like the dark. They sleep at night, and they sleep in their shell. But on hot nights, they actually crawl out of their shell with their legs. They just lay there and sleep. No problem. Just because it's hot, they get out. If it's cold, they are in their shell. Can tortoises swim? Some tortoises can't. They'll just sink right to the bottom, okay? But the leopard tortoise is quite nice because he's got an air sac under his shell, and that makes him float. So if you go around and see a river and you see a big mountain tortoise floating, don't worry about it. He's actually just having a good swim, and he wants to go to the other side of the river, okay? Some people phone and say, Mark, please come, there's a tortoise stranded in the waves. And I go there, take this big leopard tortoise out of the waves, put him on the beach, and he turns around and makes a beeline back for the waves again. He wants to go carry on having his little swim. So yeah, they also, some tortoises don't drink. They don't. You give them a bowl, they don't want to drink. That's because they absorb all the water from their actual food. Yet, mountain tortoises, leopard tortoises, will drink a whole full 2 liters of water in one go. So it just depends, there again, on the type of species. Also, they are extremely habitat sensitive. In other words, right here, even in Port Elizabeth, where I live, if you collect a tortoise from one side of the city and you take it and transport it and release it on the other side of the city, it might actually die because it's so used to the vegetation and plants that it's eating on the one side that the new side hasn't got those plants, and it will not be able to actually survive on that. So please remember, tortoises are sensitive to what they eat, their immediate environment, also in terms of where they live. PE tortoises right here in Port Elizabeth are happy. If I take that same tortoise and move him to a different town, a different city, he's not going to adapt, and he might die there just because the temperature is wrong. He's not used to the temperature. And how long do they live? Oh my goodness, you get some people that bring me a little tortoise like this and say, oh, it's a little baby. How old is it? How old do you expect it is? And I say, this little guy's at least 40 years old. No, can't believe it. But that's simply because the species is a small species, a small type of tortoise, but it's going to age. Even though it's only that big, it's still going to get old because it's not going to grow any bigger. But sometimes they bring me a mountain tortoise or leopard tortoise that big, and I say it's 5 years old, and I think it's got to at least be 40 years old. And I say, no, that's a little slow-growing tortoise, and it's going to get to the ripe old age of about 80 or 90 years old. So tortoises are actually quite amazing. We have a couple here in PE, only 3 species. The first one is this one, called the parrot-beak tortoise. In Afrikaans, the other native tongue we speak here in South Africa, this little guy is called a padloper. It means a roadrunner. He likes to run on the road, likes to go all over the place. So these guys are very, very fit. They are beautiful in that they are small. The smallest tortoise we get in Port Elizabeth, only growing to about this big maximum size. And they have huge nails. And these nails allow them to dig, because in winter these tortoises actually dig underground and actually sleep under a big rock. Alright, summertime they get up and they do their thing. These are the guys I spoke about earlier that are highly specialized in eating the succulents and flowers. Alright, they don't really like grass. And this little guy is a fynbos species. In other words, the biome where there's a lot. Ooh, he's having a nice big wee and a poo on me now. Okay, which is normal for a tortoise. They say when it does that, it means good luck. So let's hope all the best for me. Okay. So this guy likes fynbos, he likes little flowers, he likes all that kind of stuff, okay? Their little eggs are that big, and they only lay one at a time. They don't lay a big, huge clutch of eggs, only one, and they leave it, and that little baby hatches, and he is tiny, 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 okay? Male little tortoises like this. Males, parrot beaks are amazing. In summer, their little noses go blood red. That's because they want to look nice for the girls. They'll even get a red color on their shell and a green color like it, just to look good for the girls. So don't be phoning me saying you've got a tortoise with a blood nose. It's just one of these guys being a male and trying to look good for the girls. Okay, so I'm going to put him away, let him carry on his business, and bring out another little one. The most common tortoise here. It's called the ungulate tortoise, also a rooipens, which means a red tummy, because when these guys get big, they get to about that big, the males get red tummies, red bellies. I don't know why. They want to look good for the girls, but the girls can't see them because their belly is on here all the time. They hide it. So we don't know why they do that, all right? But it's a common little guy. This is the one that likes flowers. Does eat a little bit of grass, but his main food is little flowers, okay? A very common little tortoise. He's the one that people often find in their gardens, okay? And the last tortoise to show you, the leopard tortoise. Now this is still a little baby. He's gonna get big. They get to about 40 kilograms, which big and heavy. That's why I refer to them sometimes as mountain tortoises, because often people say they are mountain tortoises because they are so big. They are grazers. They love grass. They will eat the odd flower or two, no problem, but grass is their main diet, and they will sit all day eating grass all day long. These are the ones I told you earlier, which float in water. Right under the shell here, they've got a little air sac. So this little guy can never actually sink. So he will sit popping on the water surface, no problem. Other tortoises, unfortunately, will go down. They also lay huge clutches of eggs, up to about 20, 30 eggs. One big clutch underground. They dig with their back legs, lay those eggs, and those eggs will take a good year or so, waiting till a good season to hatch. If it's a bad season, those eggs aren't hatching. If it's a good season, they'll actually hatch. So they almost weather dependent. They're waiting for a good time to actually come out. This one is about 1.5 years old. Normally a little bit smaller when they hatch, but he is perfect. Perfect condition, perfect size for his little age. This tortoise won't run up to you, bite you on the ankle. Listen carefully. There's Bo. That is a load of nonsense. Okay, some facts and mythbusters regarding tortoises. Myth 1, tortoises don't feel pain. That is a load of nonsense. Now this is a tortoise shell. There's no tortoise inside of it. You can see over here, It is completely empty. It's from a tortoise that passed away a few years ago, and we kept this shell for educational purposes. Now, a lot of people think that tortoises don't have bones. Listen carefully. There's bone. That is pure bone. And now another thing is, well, if it's got bone, it has no feeling, so you can, and this is very, very cruel, people drill holes in the shell, and they put a chain, and they chain a tortoise to a pole. They say the tortoise doesn't feel pain, but how's this? If you do this on a tortoise, it feels everything, okay? These are scutes over here, which cover a tortoise's bone. Look here. There's a scute over there, and underneath the scute is all the nerves of the tortoise. So when the scute is back on the actual shell of the tortoise, it can feel everything underneath. So yes, bone and feeling, they can feel everything. Okay. Myth number 2, tortoises are slow. Also nonsense. Tortoises can move a lot faster than we think. Put it this way, little parrot-beak tortoises, they can run hundreds of meters in one day, alright? So they move around. They don't just sit and just become slow. They are fast. Myth 3, tortoises can't swim. Also nonsense. Some tortoises can swim. For example, this one is a leopard tortoise. Leopard tortoises have an air sac underneath the top of the shell. So that means they can float, and they really enjoy a good swim every now and then. So yes, some tortoises can swim. Myth number 4. If tortoises roll on their back, they will die. It's partially true because, for example, this tortoise over here, if it falls on level ground over here, it will rock and roll, wiggle itself with its arms and legs out, grip onto the soil and flop itself over and be perfect, no problem. So yes, they can right themselves, but sometimes they fall into a hole or a ditch like this, and they will rock and roll, and they cannot grip onto the sides, and they will die. I have seen a few in nature reserves before which have unfortunately fallen onto their backs into a hole, and they have passed away. So sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. Myth 5. Tortoises bite. Now, it's not true. Look at me. I'm putting my finger here. Not going to do a single thing. Now, there have been cases where people have been bitten by tortoises, but that's simply because they think it is food. If you put your finger here and he's eating a whole bunch of lettuce or a leaf and your finger's accidentally there, he's gonna bite it. Okay, so they will, but out of aggression and fear, they will never ever bite you. This tortoise won't run up to you and bite you on the ankles. Some people say ungulates bite, but they don't. They actually run up. Some will buck you and try and tip you, but they will not turn around and bite for aggression. Okay. She's gonna do fine. Very happy. But part of Sandula Conservation is the Humps and Bumps Tortoise Sanctuary, where we look after tortoises. And so far, we've released in the last 17 years just over 3,500 tortoises. So it's quite a lot of tortoises that have come through our doors, and we'll carry on going. And tortoises are there, we're going to save them and help them. And a lot of people bring us tortoises that they found on roads which aren't actually hurt but could be hurt, and also tortoises that they found in their gardens that get bitten by the dog or anything like that, or even injured tortoises, sick tortoises. They just bring them to us and we have a look, we sort them out, and eventually and hopefully we get to release them. Okay, when the tortoises come to the sanctuary, they go through a process. And the first thing is we actually look at them, we see if they're injured, we see what's wrong with them, and we find out all the history on that actual tortoise. And depending on that, the tortoises actually go to a certain pen or a certain area where we know we can actually observe them if they need observation, or they can go directly to a pen called the release pen because nothing is wrong with them and they can actually just be released as soon as possible. Now, a couple of the tortoises that you see below here, they went through the process of arrival. We found out what's happened to them, or we collected them, we got all the information, we photographed them, we ID'd them, and then we decided to put them in a pen. Now, two of the tortoises tortoises we had to keep back a bit because they were actually not ready. The one was actually quite badly burnt, and he's actually recovered, and the other one was very underweight. So we decided those two are holdbacks, yet the other two can go. But this was a few months ago. Now they are all ready to go. So these are the 4 that we decided this weekend is a good weather, a good time to go, and they can be released. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. This little one over here was burnt. This is the underweight one, and these 2 were literally found in the road, perfectly healthy, and they were removed because of their own safety. The people were worried that they would be hit by a car or something, so that's why they brought them to us. There's no reason for us to keep them, and we can just take them and release them. So we're going to start loading them up to take them out. I've just arrived at the reserve, and I'm extremely happy because this tortoise over here was one that I rehabilitated a few months ago and released here, and she's doing absolutely perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to feel her weight, just to feel if she's picked up weight. Oh wow, she is heavy. Oh, that means she is really doing well. If she was light, then I know she's not eating very well and not doing good, but she is thriving, and I know it's her because she had this melted shell, and I remember she also had a hole drilled in the back of her shell, and now she is perfect and happy. So I'm chuffed, it's all worthwhile. Not even 20 meters away, here's another tortoise. This is another release case, and look at this one, fantastic. I'm just going to also do a weight test, and wow, yes, this one is heavy enough. She's going to do fine, very happy. These tortoises have had a very serious journey in their life, from being bitten by dogs or kept improperly in bad situations, things like that, confiscated by nature conservation or the police, brought to us. Some have been with us for a couple months, some only a few days, but this now is their final journey they'll ever take. This is their release site. This is where I'm going to release them after their long journey at the sanctuary, and now it's time for them to go and be free. So I'm going to take them out one by one and going to release them all. So I'm going to start off releasing the little teeny tiny babies, and I'll show you one just to let you know. Have a look at this. There's a tiny little baby, and it deserves to have his freedom. So we're going to do it now. Okay, now the best part of the day, the best part of all the business with tortoises is the release. And I'm going to start off with these tiny little ones over here. These are little angular tortoises, probably almost a year old. Yeah, this little one had a bit of a bad life. It came to me 2 months ago and was attacked by a dog, and you can see its poor shell over here was eaten. It had nice big holes in it, and also the top of its scutes here were actually taken off. It has recovered, and even though it doesn't look very good, it's healthy as anything, and it has recovered beautifully, and there's no reason to keep it anymore. So this little girl can go. There she is. She is a parrot beak tortoise, so she's not one of the normal common ones. One way we can tell when tortoises are doing well is when after release, after a long journey, everything, they start eating, and that is a wonderful feeling, because then you know it's having a good time and it's really going to do very well in this reserve. These are all adult angular tortoises, so I didn't want to keep them with the little ones because they tend to run over them in the car if they're in the same container. So that's what they're in their own one, and now it's their turn to have a taste of freedom. Here's the first little one, here's the second one, 3, and you'll see how they make their own path through the long grass. They'll take a few minutes just to see what's going on, and then they just take off and run. Have a look, this one's already started. It just looks like he's having a nice wave in the grass. There he goes. And no one knows why. They just run off, and then they start eating something, and then they relax. But the first thing they do is just run off. Okay, the last tray of the day. Couple tortoises. Now these aren't small and they're not big. They're right in the middle, so that's why they get their own little tray. So we're gonna go run down into the shade and let these guys go. Okay, this is a great little spot for these guys. Now this little tortoise somebody brought to me yesterday. There's nothing wrong with it. Only brought to me because they thought a car might bump her on the road and hurt her. So for her own safety, he brought it to me. There's no reason why we must keep her, and she can go directly and be released. So I'm just gonna put her down and let her go her way. Here's another one. These are parrot-beak tortoises. As you can see, they're a little bit different to the other ones. They're a little bit flatter. Look, little old people. Shame. Now, there we go. Look at this small little one. And here is another one, and another little parrot-beak tortoise. Okay, and these, like before, the other angular tortoises are released. These are a little bit smaller, so that's why they are getting released with the parrot-beaks. There you go. And they start running off. One more. There you go. Okay, now for the big tortoises. These are leopard tortoises. Now listen, maybe she's going to hiss. Ooh, they give a beautiful hiss. Anyway, now I'm going to show you her. Ooh, she's heavy. Now, she was caught in a fire a few months ago. And as you can see, normally they have beautiful scales on their body. These are called scutes, but these ones you can see are really damaged from the fire. It was painful for her because I can feel everything, but she's recovered. This is all scar tissue that has formed over it, so she is well protected, and I'm going to let her go because there's no reason why she needs any more help. You can hear she's growling and going crazy now because she wants to go and she's tired of being handled. So I'm going to take her and pick her up and put her in the grass. There you go. Now, the other little one, I've got 4 of these guys. Okay, they'll have some few minutes just to settle down, just to warm up a bit because they've been sitting in a cold car, and then they will just scurry off. Now this reserve is amazing because it's got small little grass, narrow grass for the actual little tortoises to eat, for the angulars to eat, and the parrot-beaks. There's also tiny succulents and tiny flowers which they love. But these guys are grass feeders, and as you can see around, there's grass. So these guys will be very happy in this reserve. I'm Mark Marshall from Sandula Conservation. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.